Tusifu Mungu mwema uliyemuumba wetu, kwa maana viumbe vyote vinatoka kwake. Kwa maana viumbe vyote vinatoka kwake. Kaumba ulimwengu pamoja na mali yote, matendo yake Mungu ni makubwa. Matendo yake Mungu ni makubwa.
Thank you very much. Kenya ni mara sote tunajivunia.
Earlier they had a very nice number. Tuendelee kuishi na amani kama Wakenya, na tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu kutukinga kutokana na mambo ya fitina, ukabila na utengamano. Thank you very much and God bless you, Public Service Commission Choir. Allow me now to invite the IEBC CEO and Commission Secretary, Mr. Marijan Hussein Marijan, who is coming to make the opening remarks, and thereafter my colleague Smart will take us through the rest of the program. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome Mr. Marijan Hussein Marijan. Thank you.
Our chief guest, Honorable Justin Muturi, the Honorable Attorney General of Kenya, Honorable Kadhuri Murungi, Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Her Excellency Anne Waiguru, Chairperson, Council of Governors, Ms. Judy Lamet, Assistant Inspector General of Police, as well as the Deputy Director of Operations, Philemon Sabulei, Chairperson, County Assemblies Forum, Anthony Ngororano, Resident Representative of UNDP, Mule Mosau, National Coordinator of Election Observation Group, Bina Maseno, Executive Director, Badili Africa, Reverend Father Joseph Mutie, Chairman of the Interreligious Council of Kenya, our commissioners present, Commissioner Abdi Yakub Bulie and Commissioner Boya Molu, representatives of the foreign mission present, Commission staff present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. May I first take this opportunity to thank the Almighty God for affording all of us the opportunity to gather here and above all, dialogue and navigate the way forward on how the elections of this country will be managed. Indeed, God guided us through the rigorous 2022 election period and the post-election results declaration activities, including the presidential election results petition at the Supreme Court of Kenya. We give thanks and proclaim glory to God in all that transpired. Secondly, may I welcome you to the launch of the post-election evaluation report of the 2022 general election. The Constitution under Article 884H mandates the IEBC to conduct post-election evaluation after every general election, referendum, or by-election. Therefore, feel most privileged to learn and contribute to our discussions of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, the evaluation of any exercise calls for a candid examination and assessment of what worked and what did not work. It also gives a window to propose recommendations that will inform strategies to be employed in the next electoral cycles. In that regard, therefore, any evaluation requires objectivity and commitment as it rallies everyone to reflect on individual and collective experiences. The reflection and experiences mentioned in the post-election evaluation report remind us that a generation that does not learn from its mistake is bound to repeat them and so doomed to fail. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 post-election evaluation was conducted in a participatory manner based on the electoral cycle, the Commission's strategic plan, election operations plan, and the legal mandate. The evaluation addressed processes and activities in the electoral cycle leading to the 2022 general election. Methodically, the 2022 general election was conducted by about 1,000 dedicated permanent employees of the Commission, assisted by over 400,000 temporary staff countrywide. They all formed part of the sample that the Commission reached out for feedback. This was besides other key electoral stakeholders at the national, county and constituency level who were engaged as respondents during the key informant interviews, focus discussion groups, and various stakeholder forums. The report also recognizes the support by stakeholders, including the judiciary, National Police Service, and service providers who participated in the electoral process. It gives recognition to development partners who provided support that bridged financial gap in the election budget. The post-election evaluation report depicts activities done during the prescribed time frame, specifically on the implementation of the Commission Strategic Plan 2020-2024, which has 6 precise pillars of strengthening corporate governance, strengthening strategic operations, strengthening legal framework, enhanced public outreach, effective conduct of the elections, and equitable representation. Ladies and gentlemen, this time around, the post-election evaluation has been done earlier compared to that of the 2017 general election and fresh presidential election. This will enable early implementation of the recommendations as the Commission prepares to review its strategic plan. From the evaluation, it is apparent that the Commission demonstrated its commitment in the delivery of a free, fair, and credible general election. The Commission hinged its delivery on collaboration, hence will continue to recognize and appreciate efforts by different partners. We thank you and hope that this partnership will be sustained throughout the electoral process. I also thank you, our stakeholders, for participating in the post-election evaluation. Indeed, your feedback shall inform the electoral processes going forward. The Commission shall review Strategic Plan 2020-2024 and develop the 2027 Election Operations Plan based on the findings of the report. To fellow Kenyans and the international community, I thank you for formidable support you accorded the Commission. The Commission still yearns for your continued synergies for the greater good of the country. In conclusion, the findings and recommendations of the post-election evaluation report will be shared with state agencies, development partners, and other stakeholders involved in the electoral process in Kenya to further improve the electoral process. This is a step further towards embedding democracy in Kenya through the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections. Once again, welcome to the launch of the post-election evaluation report for the 2022 general election, and we look forward to continued collaboration. Thank you, and God bless Kenya.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a better round of applause for the CEO. I think that sets the tone of what should happen today. Just to pick up from some of the things that he's spoken about this morning. He says, we're here for a reflective moment, and this is an assessment of what worked and what did not work. So feel free, be open, and this conversation does not just start now, it continues, because as he says, a generation that does not learn from its mistake is bound to repeat them. I want to recognize the presence of Commissioner Boru and Professor Abdi Yakub Gulie, who will speak during the chairman speech as well. But for now, just to kick off our program and get our program going, allow me to invite to the podium for his reflection, Reverend Father Joseph Mutie, who's the chairman of the Interreligious Council of Kenya, IRCK, for his reflections. Makofi tafadhali kwa Father as he makes his way here.
Thank you. Allow me to begin by recognizing our Attorney General, Justin Muturi, the Chair, IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, but also stand on the protocol established or founded by the CEO and recognize every other person and institutions represented. From the Interreligious Council, we take this moment to first give thanks to God, exceptional gratefulness from our hearts for granting us this opportunity to gather here to look back and appreciate our peaceful election cycle, and at the same time cast our sight forward with optimism as we prepare to preserve the good lessons we have learned and tighten the gaps in a positive way. What we do and why from our scriptures in the Bible, Psalms 139 and verses 23 to 24 reminds us of the value of self-evaluation. The Bible says, and I quote, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts, and see if there be any artful way in me, and lead me on an everlasting way." We wish to appreciate in a special way the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission for its steadfast efforts in conducting the 2022 general elections in accordance with the requisite law or the requirement of the law of Kenya. It was a mammoth task by all measure to conduct elections for the 6 elective positions, namely the President, the governors, senators, members of the National Assembly, county women members of and also the members of the county assemblies, and the role and the key role that they played in ensuring that it was a success. Further, the Supreme Court of Kenya heard and determined the consolidated presidential election petition, whose full judgment was delivered on the 26th of September 2022, bringing the election cycle to a close. The August 2022 general election was relatively peaceful across the country, an outcome attributed to several factors, including the judiciary, responsible political behavior by party leaders, political maturity of Kenyan citizens, and effective interventions of the peace infrastructure, notably preventive mediation at the national and sub-national levels. We thank the Commission for the evaluation of the 9th August 2022 general elections and coming up with a report being launched today. The report is clearly a culmination of an in-depth reflection on the achievements and the challenges in the last electoral cycle. We call on the Commission to pay attention to the areas of improvement highlighted in the report, and as a religious fraternity, we will continue to pray for and partner with the Commission in every effort aimed at strengthening Kenyans' democracy. The faith community will continue to join hands with an independent commission such as IEBC, all elected leaders, the international community, and all stakeholders to spearhead national dialogue, reconciliation, healing, and electoral reforms, such of which are highlighted in this report. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I wish to recognize and appreciate the outgoing chairman, Wapula Chefukati. We know he has only a day to quit the office. We recognize and congratulate you for the work that you have done. We appreciate you. And also the two commissioners, Commissioner Gulie, Commissioner Monu, Boya, for their dedication or dedicated service to the country for the last 6 years. God will reward you for your extraordinary performance and integrity in the conduct and management of the 2022 general elections. We shall be glad to join the Commission on a future date to assess the findings of this evaluation, and after guidance from our end on how we can safeguard elections as a country and ensure that they become a routine process of our democratic heritage and not a matter of life and death as we all know it. We pray for a peaceful, cohesive, and prosperous country. And may God bless our country. May God bless us all. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Reverend Father Joseph Mutie, for your reflections. And now, keeping up with the pace, I'd like to welcome to the podium Executive Director of Badili Africa, Bina Maseno, for her reflection. Makofi Tafadhali has been a makes her way to the podium.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. To the chief guest, Honorable Justin Muturi, the Attorney General of Kenya, to the IEBC chair and fellow commissioners, to the ambassadors who are represented here in the room, and to the chair, Council of Governors, Honorable Waiguru, and all the distinguished guests, good morning once again. So I have very few minutes, but I'll just donate 30 seconds to ask you to look at your neighbor and tell them, I wish you a fulfilling year ahead. Just look at someone in their eyes. Some of you have not even said hello to people on your table since you came in, so I'm donating my 30 seconds. Look at someone in their eyes and wish them a fulfilling year ahead. I know we've begun the year running, but we can always take a pause. We can always take a pause. Have we done that? Thank you very much. My name is Bina Maseno, Executive Director, Badili Africa, and at Badili we cultivate the political engagement of young people and Chama women. So it's an honor to even represent grassroots women who organize in Chamas, who most of the time do not have an opportunity to sit in big forums like this and engage and share their perspective when it comes to participation in political processes. So I'll just speak to three issues today, but I'll start by, first of all, appreciating IEBC for conducting a largely peaceful election, and also for being very keen to engage young people and young women, especially in this election. We all might be aware of the Youth Coordinating Committee and the Women Coordinating Committee that was formed by IEBC to ensure that we engage the most marginalized people across the country. And I think I also want to appreciate, I think Mercy Mukeni is here, Chair, WCC, and Joel Mita as well, Chair, YCC. So thank you so much also to IEBC for the efforts to ensure that we leave no one behind. When I was invited to actually give just brief remarks about my observations in this election, I'll share just a brief anecdote. While we were conducting voter education across the country, and we were in one location, and we were working with Chama women who usually actually mobilize for politicians. And I remember meeting these three kids who belong to this woman, and asking them whether they've registered to vote. So one had registered to vote but was not intending to vote.
and 2 of them had not registered to vote. And I'm saying this at the background and the backdrop of IEBC registering just about 2.5 first-time voters against 6 million, right? And we've seen in this election, even the engagement of young people has reduced because we only had about 39% of registered young people in this election, which is a decline, which is a 5% decline from the other election. And for the first time also, we've seen a decline in terms of voter turnout. In this election, we had about 64%, which is below 70%, comparing it to the 2013 election at 83 and the 2017 election at slightly 70%. So I asked them whether they intend to vote, and I asked these 2 sons who have not registered to vote, and they say, my mother has always been mobilizing for politicians for the last 2 elections, and she's not benefited. We still live the same life. We can't even go to school. We can't even afford education. Why should I engage? Why should I engage? Because for them it was just to go and vote, but they've seen their mother who literally does door to door. And I'm saying this to say that when it comes to voter education, I think it is very, very key. Even as we conduct voter education, it's just not about someone turning up to vote, but then how do we tie their day-to-day lives? How is your life political? How is the food you eat political? We work with young people, and especially young women, and data shows us that the most disenfranchised lot in this country is actually young women between the age of 18 and 25. And even when we talk to young women, we want to show them even how is your hair political? How is even cosmetics political? In an election where we even have, during our budget processes, right? We have an increase even in cosmetics. How does that tie to you? If we don't actually ensure that young people understand how elections affect them, literally, apart from them just showing up to vote, then I think we'll continue seeing this dent in our democracy. And we'll continue seeing young people take a backseat when it comes to issues that actually affect them. Because even when you look at how people participated in terms of running for political office, which brings me to my second point, in terms of calling on institutions that are mandated to ensure that we have and comply to rules like the 2/3 gender rule. And I know we saw an increase in women's representation in this election, which is about 1% increase, ideally. And I know we're still commending the women that we've elected. But guess what? In this election, we had about 16,100 aspirants from the president to the MCA. About 14,000 were men. Only about 2,000 were women. And specifically, 1,962 were women. Not even enough to meet a third. So it means even with the women who went for office, there is no way we would have met the 2/3 gender rule. So it's to call on all the institutions that are mandated to ensure that we comply and leave no one behind. And lastly, on curbing online and physical gender-based violence. Gender-based violence continues to be a key deterrent to women participating actively in political spaces. When I even reflect on my experiences the first time I ran for political office and faced electoral violence, it still scares me today to think about just running for office again, because I don't even know if I'll have the capacity to overcome what I witnessed that time. And for especially new aspirants who don't even have a name. No one knows you. Like, if at all you are attacked and killed, you'll be collateral damage, literally. So we need to also ensure that we take gender-based violence seriously. And even on our social media platforms, we're talking about unregulated social media platforms, where hate speech, cyberbullying is disenfranchising citizens. You can't even share your opinion because you're afraid of being thrown out of social media, right? And I'm saying that to also say that let's also ensure that we are very keen on who we are leaving behind when it comes to gender-based violence. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because at Padili we did a report on gender-based violence against political mobilizers. Because many a times the program around citizens and the program around aspirants. But you don't think about the person who's putting their life on the line, for instance, to even mobilize for Honorable Waiguru here, or any other politician in the room. someone is dying with this politician, but you don't think about the impact. What does it mean when it comes to them mobilizing in an area where the political party X is not popular? So even for the stakeholders in charge of security, how do we ensure that we do not leave anyone behind in terms of us building our democracy? It will take us not working in silos, and it will take us harmonizing our efforts if we are to realize the mutual goals that we are talking about. Again, thank you so much to the chair, and also just to invite the incoming commission to ensure that we don't leave anyone behind. Thank you very much.
Well, a better round of applause for Bina Maseno. Chairman, Bina said that, hair products are political. I think you should take that a bit seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome our next speaker, Her Excellency Henriette Geiger, who's the European Union Ambassador to Kenya, to make her remarks. Makofi tafadhali as she makes her way.
Dear Excellencies, Honorables, all protocols observed. A recent NCIC survey revealed that the population rated the performance of IEBC with 65% satisfaction. This was the highest satisfaction rating given to any institution, higher even than the judiciary with 64%. The NCIC itself, the police, or the international community. This is the best sign that IEBC performed and that there's increased trust in IEBC. So figures and numbers, they talk for themselves. Also, I would like to say that in the last elections, Kenyan citizens deserved 10 out of 10 for their stellar performance. They saved the elections. I would like to applaud all Kenyans for their firm commitment to peace, and this is the only way forward in any democracy. Kenyans stood out and they stood firm on the path towards democracy and rule of law. The EU Observer Mission assessed that these elections were conducted transparently and with high levels of professionalism and integrity. The recommendations that the EU Observer Mission has made will help us to support the process of the next 5 years in Kenya. And we should not let down. We should not let down. We have to build on the momentum that we have achieved now and build towards even better elections in 2027. And the EU will stand firmly at your side with any support you may need. On our priority list as EU, we were particularly stressing the participation of youth, women, and minorities. And on our to-do list is also to support the better regulation of campaign financing and to improve voter registrations. But there are many other areas to be worked on with different partners in this country. But I will be extremely brief. I just would like to thank the IEBC chairperson, Mr. Chebukati. He did an outstanding job, and also the commissioners, Professor Gele and Mr. Mule. Congratulations. You did a great service to Kenya. Your integrity in doing your job undeterred gives hope to millions of Kenyans, but also sets a new gold standard for democracy in Africa. And you are writing history today because you three, this trio, you are the first ones to complete the full constitutional term of 6 years. Congratulations, and all the best to all of you, and the EU will continue to support democracy and the IEBC in its reform towards 2027. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Just to reiterate what Ambassador said, Kenyans deserve 10 out of 10 for their commitment to peace and democracy. I think we should clap for that. All right. Next up is Evans Misati, who's the chairperson, PPLC. Makofi tafadhali. As Evans makes his way, I'd like to inform you that we are doing very well on time. We have a few more speakers, and then we get to the lodge. Evans Misati tafadhali. Okay. Since I'm seeing to welcome Mule Musau, who's the National Coordinator, ILOG, for his reflections and remarks. Makofi tafadhali as Mule makes his way.
Happy New Year. Allow me to write on the protocols which have been observed by Mr. Marjan. And let me start with a comment that the EU has just decided I'm a commissioner. I'm very sure the ambassador meant Commissioner Molu. He said Commissioner Mule. So these are good wishes. And secondly, I saw the choir today. I think it makes us reminisce what happened in Bomas. So thank you very much, IEBC, for inviting us to this particular occasion. We are honored to be here. On behalf of the Election Observation Group, my steering committee, and the rest of the members across the country, we want to congratulate you on the launch of the evaluation report. This comes at a very handy and timely time because it's coming quite early after the end of the election. And it also offers the country an opportunity, therefore, to be able to reflect much more broadly about the election that happened in preparation for the election which is coming. As ELOB, we launched our report last month. We have other actors who launched their report also a month ago, and others like the EU are still coming on the way. So we hope that all these reports, together with what IEBC has given today, will be able to form the basis of an agenda for electoral reform, and we have a very short window. The political sobriety moment is only about a year. We have new parliamentarians, we have new leadership, we have a new chair of the Council of Governors. We need to reach out to these people to be able to implement the new policies, the new issues that need to be taken up on board. From our observation, since 2010, fresh on the job, but you've grown in stature to be able to lead some very high tension elections in this country and being able to deliver. And together with Commissioner Bolu, Commissioner Guliwe, we wish you well in the rest of the endeavors that you'll be having. I thank you.
Well, a better round of applause for Mule. Now that we're all doing reflections, I think it's important to buttress the point that the Bomas choir should be part of the report and part of the reflections. If they're not there, then I think we are a bit of our problems. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to welcome to the podium already Anthony Ngorano's resident representative UNDP for his reflections and remarks. Makovi tafadhali.
morning, everybody. It really gives me great pleasure to be here today on a momentous occasion that sees not just the launch of this evaluation report, but also, as previous speakers have indicated, a milestone, a turning point, a recognition to not just the chairman and the two outgoing commissioners, but the entire IEBC. I come from the region, I come from the Republic of Rwanda. I can tell you Kenya remains more than ever the envy of the region, the envy of Africa, the pride of Africa. And I really want to take this opportunity to say thank you. The post-election evaluation process, of course, is a cornerstone in the continuous strengthening of Kenya's electoral management system, and within it holds really the nucleus of a long-term vision that has become so important and is really a precondition to ensure that the entire electoral cycle results in a better election, or at least qualitatively a stronger election in terms of what we see in 2027. Therefore, we look forward to further engage with the report findings and recommendations, as these will inform strategies for, as I said, the next general election. We applaud the leadership of the IEBC in conducting the selection process and integrating really a genuinely multi-stakeholder approach that involved electoral stakeholders, including the national government, institutions, political parties, constitutional commissions, independent officers, and civic and other non-state actors. This multi-stakeholder approach ensures that the perspectives of a wide range of electoral actors are captured and that the lessons and recommendations will serve to inform IEBC's strategies as the country plans for the new electoral cycle. The peaceful outcome of the 2022 general elections has become, of course, an enabler for continued peace, stability, and development in Kenya. And with support of the various development partners, we are really proud as UNDP as having walked this journey with all of you. Importantly, we appreciate the sustained engagement and support of UNDP's development partners that grounded UNDP's electoral assistance and the broader democratic governance support. Key partners here who made this possible include the European Union, the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, Ireland, Denmark, and the UN Peacebuilding Fund, who have remained steadfast in their support for Kenya's democratization journey. Their contributions and continuous engagement are a true investment in democracy and peace in Kenya, which will advance sustainable human development for all. The findings and recommendations that will be presented today by the IEBC will inform the way forward, including priorities, approaches, and concrete actions that ideally will be embraced and materialized under a collaborative approach once again between the IEBC, other independent institutions, state and non-state actors. Among the key considerations from the recent experience in supporting IEBC and other national actors, as UNDP, we see the need to increase the participation of women and youth in the electoral process, notably in the nomination of candidates. We call on political parties and their leaders to enhance and to increase the interests of women and youth so as to see a higher participation and turnout in the next elections. Both women and youth should not fear but enlist with political parties in the future and fight, or join in the fight for equal representation and champion their rights. To conclude, let me reassure you that UNDP, together with our development partners, remain fully committed to continue supporting Kenya's electoral management body and other electoral stakeholders in the post-election period and beyond, in alignment with the electoral cycle approach. I thank you all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just to keep up with the time, allow me to welcome to the podium for reflections Philomene Sabule, who's the chairperson, County Assemblies Forum. Makofi tafadhali kwa Philomene.
Okay, that's okay. So thank you so much. His Excellency, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, the chairperson of IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the Deputy Speaker of Senate, who is present here today with us, the chairperson of COG, Excellency Waiguru, the commissioners of IEBC present here today, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Philemon Kiplakat-Sabulei, the chairperson of County Assemblies Forum, and we are truly privileged and pleased that we are here today, being one of the key stakeholders on matters of election in this republic. As the representative of the largest beneficiaries of the electoral process, with a total of 2,237 members, it gives me great pleasure to join you this morning at the official launch of the IEBC post-election evaluation report. I would like to offer my sincere appreciation to the commission led by Chairperson Mr. Wafula Chebukati for the steadfast leadership and stewardship in handling of the 2022 general elections. I also wish to appreciate the Commission Secretariat and all Kenyan men and women who contributed to the success of the general elections. Thank you for your commitment and dedication to this very important and very difficult task. The evaluation report, whose launch we are here to witness today, is an assessment of the conduct of the 2022 general elections and an avenue to establish what worked and what did not work as expected, and what could have been done better, and the lesson learned for the future elections. It is gratifying to note that IEBC involves stakeholders in the development of this report, thus taking into considerations the concerns of interested parties and ensuring that the process is in line with the letter and spirit of our Constitution. With this level of consultation, I am positive that the report will play an important role in improving the conduct of the general elections in the future. Distinguished guests, we have to agree the conduct of any electoral activity cannot be deemed to be over until the post-election evaluation has been concluded. Each general election held in this country has facilitated Kenyans to exercise their most important duty of electing a democratic government, and I have to admit that even the constitution of CAF is as a result of this democratic process. It is in this reasoning we have to appreciate the resilience of the Commission in overcoming challenges, in maintaining institutional integrity, adhering to numerous court rulings, and balancing the interests of various stakeholders such as political parties and the general public as a whole. It is positive to note that these challenges have made the IEBC better and will continue to get better in the coming elections. Distinguished guests, we agree also that other government institutions, IEBC, have done well in developing its functions, at least to the sub-county level, which has enhanced their operations and service delivery. As the chairperson, as the champion of devolution, we cannot take this lightly, and we have noticed the improvement during the just concluded general elections. The Commission was quick and diligent in responding to issues that were raised by candidates and the electorate. Finally, we hope that this evaluation report will strengthen the corporate governance and practices, especially on the rules and the structures of the Commission. I thank you all, and I wish the chairperson and the commissioners the very best, even as they proceed to other endeavors in this country. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Well, a better round of applause for Philemon Sabulei, chairperson, County Assemblies Forum.
The chief guest, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Justin Muturi, the Chairman of IEBC and the Commissioners, the Chair Council of Governors, and all other protocols observed. I know we have many dignitaries and many people who are here today. I want to take, first of all, this singular moment to thank God for the far that we have gone as a country, and when we come to launch an electoral report, we really thank God that we are here as a country, peaceful and progressing, and doing what we are supposed to be as a nation. I also want to thank the Electoral Commission who are used to really bring us where we are through a credible and a peaceful electoral process. I note that we collaborated in many ways with the Electoral Commission, and we were working when the law had just changed in the beginning of the year 2022, and there were many areas that we had to collaborate in a new framework. And I want to thank the Commission for the support and working together. However, I want to note that some of the areas that need to be harmonized still exist, and I know the report may raise some of them. We worked under circumstances when the Political Parties Act was amended. We had walked the journey together with IEBC to amend the Election Act. However, the Elections Act finally was not amended, so some gaps were left, and it looked like there are areas that look like they were deprecated. Yet we had corrected them in the Elections Act that was supposed, because we had worked together. So I want to ask Parliament, probably this is the high time, early in the electoral cycle, when we look at those gaps and complete the process of amendment of the Elections Act so that it is completely in harmony with other laws, and then check what is not harmonized properly. I also want to commend political parties. Why I am here is because I'm the registrar of political parties. I want to commend them for presenting candidates. We had over 16,000 candidates, over 11,000 of them were presented by political parties. And I want to commend political parties for really going through the vigorous process of nomination and coming up with candidates. And as stakeholders and main stakeholders of the electoral process, they did a fantastic job. It could not be perfect because there are gaps that still exist, but we can attest that the party nominations, courtesy of the change of law, are more friendly, more peaceful, and more inclusive as opposed to other areas. But I still note that there are areas, especially in party nomination, that has been noted here, that still need a lot of improvement. We brought on board issues of consensus. We brought on board where parties can do delegates and all that, as opposed to first suffrage, which is a better way of looking at political party nominations. However, we need regulations and a framework that then ties them on how the process will be done so that it is free and fair to the extent that every person feels comfortable in the process. I want to also note that the dispute resolution this time, especially at the political party level, also really was responsive. We had parties sitting down because the IDRMs were strengthened and the elections board were better strengthened as compared to the last election. I also want to note the Dispute Resolution Committee of IEBC, which was also inclusive and included the Office of Registrar of Political Parties. We sat with them so that this post-election period, we saw very few cases that related to political party membership. And I want to continue urging the IEBC to continue working with other stakeholders because it brought down almost to nil cases that were there after 2017 as compared to now. We are almost nil, especially that relates to party membership and participation. Finally, I want to say, as we celebrate all this, my only one thing I request the election fraternity is to make the election process such smooth and such responsive that the returning officers of this country and people working where the rubber meets the road will feel very comfortable, and every electoral official, whether working in the Electoral Commission or elsewhere, will feel very comfortable and not threatened at any one point. Because we are speaking from a perspective, even as we celebrate this, that we lost a returning officer. So if we have to improve in the next election cycle, is to make the electoral process very comfortable and very threat-free, so that every person leaves the electoral process uninjured, and also with his family, goes back to his family. I think that is my only prayer. And in conclusion, allow me to wish the chairman a fruitful retirement from IEBC. I know you are not retiring from working. You are of great value. And the two commissioners, we want to congratulate you for taking us through this process and also standing up in the moment of need for this country. May God continue blessing you and guide your steps as you leave the commission to other serious endeavors. Thank you so much.
Well, a better round of applause for Registrar, and she brings us to a very good moment where I have to, it will be a lie if I don't have a running mate in this conversation. I'd like to now introduce my running mate, OGW, Madam Tabitha, to continue with the rest of the program. I will come back. Chairman, you've not seen the last of me. You promised an interview and you're still the chairman, so you have about 1 day for us to do this interview. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome my running mate, OGW Tabitha, to carry on with the rest of the program.
Thank you very much, James Smart, and thank you, Madam Dorito, for calling out for threat-free general election in future for the election officials so that they're able to go back home safe and sound. Allow me to welcome Madam Judy Lamet, Assistant Inspector General of National Police Service. Please come and give your remarks. Is she here? Thank you.
The Honorable Attorney General, Honorable Justin Muturi, the Chairperson of IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, Her Excellency Anne Waiguru, the Chairperson, Council of Governors, Anne Derito, Registrar of Political Parties, Philemon Sabulei, the Chairperson's County Security Forum, Anthony Gararano, Resident Representative of UNDP, IEBC Commissioners, and all protocols observed. I'm here representing the Inspector General of the National Police Service, who has sent his apologies. He could not make it. He's on other national duties. During the elections, during and after, we did not use even one single bullet or tear gas. This was achieved through elections preparedness. A lot of training was done from the lowest cadre up to the regional police commanders on the police role when it comes to elections in the country. And this training was done together with other stakeholders, the friendly forces. We included them, the prisons, the NYS, because they also form part of election security. We were involved in the guarding of the ballot boxes, the polling centers, escorting even the boxes, and even the results up to the tallying center. We need to thank our partners and election stakeholders who assisted us, especially in the training part, and also in provision of other services, and especially the printing of elections manual that was issued to police officers to know their role, even at the polling centers. We collaborated well with IEBC to ensure that all elections material and staff are issued with security. We also had operational plans at all county levels where everybody knew their role when it came to elections and voting. Election security manuals were issued and distributed also to all other stakeholders that also were working with us. So I also wish to state that going forward, the National Police Service will continue fostering close partnership with Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and other election stakeholders. Finally, I wish to say a good thank you to IEBC, other partners, elections stakeholders, and all Kenyans, because this would not have been peaceful if not all Kenyans, because all Kenyans also played a big role in ensuring that they did what they were supposed to do. I couldn't agree more that this is a timely launch for the evaluation report. And we are, as the National Police Service, we are wishing to learn from it so that we can make changes on the areas that we need to improve on the forthcoming elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Lamet, and for the collaboration the Commission has had with the National Police Service in ensuring that there are no bullets or tear gas during the general election. We appreciate that. Allow me to welcome Mr. Gershon Otachi to come and give his remarks. He is a chairperson of the National Lands Commission, and before we invite the chairperson of the Council of Governors, we ask TSC to be on standby for just a small choir. Thank you.
The chief guests, Attorney General Honorable Justin Muturi, the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kathuri Murungi, Chairperson of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, Her Excellency, Governor Anne Waguru, Chairperson of COG, members of the Diplomatic Corps present, the Bombers Choir, all protocols observed. May I start by recognizing my colleagues, because I stand here as the chair of chairs. May I start by recognizing my colleagues, the fellow chairs who are present. Kindly stand up. We have the chairperson, IBC, not saying well enough, the chairperson, Kobia, Renan Kobia. We have Muturi. I have a bit of problem in the eyesight. SRC, sorry, SRC, Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, Auditor General. Okay, thank you very much. Of course, TSC, Mr. Muturi, I thought I said, okay. Now, Mr. Muturi is the chair of TSC. He shares a name with the Attorney General, who happens to be part of our caucus as well, as an independent office, and so, of course, is Honorable Chebukati. Throughout this period, we've been calling him the chair of the moment, because indeed he has been the chair of the moment right from June through last year up to now. Now, I will be brief. It gives me great pleasure to join you this morning during this engagement that is of great importance to our nation's journey of democracy and, by extension, constitutionalism. On behalf of the Constitutional Commissions and independent officers, allow me to convey warm greetings from my colleagues, those present and those who who are not here. Now, I'm happy to report that the member commissions participated and were represented in various activities in the lead up to the elections. There were those who were more actively engaged than others, and I'll single out NCIC, CAJ, EACC, NGEC, and Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, amongst those that were very active. Of course, over and above the other institutions, independent offices, the Attorney General's Office, the DPP, and of course the ones around matters of finance, the Auditor General, and so on. And around that, we had a series of activities. I will point out a few. We had the IEBC launch of Election Operational Plan on 15th June 2021, NCIC launch of a roadmap to a peaceful 22 general elections on 10th of December 2020, Consultative Stakeholders Validation Forum of the peaceful elections held on 26th November 2020, and many other engagements of a similar nature. So I will not go into a lot of detail. I had a written speech, but a lot has been said by the previous speakers. And sometimes when one wants to blow their trumpet, but it's blown more powerfully by others, then you take it easy. I was happy to hear from the EU representative on the accolades. That is not us Kenyan speaking, but the European Union. UNDP representative, who happens from Rwanda, happens to be from Rwanda, also praised us greatly. I think Kenyans, can we give a clap to ourselves? So, my fellow chair, I'm here on behalf of the caucus of chairs. That is a clap for you for having stood tall through all this process. Now, in July, just before the elections, we held an international conference at KICC, where we were looking at election preparedness. And in that conference, I made remarks to the effect that we have traveled a long journey in the election processes in Kenya. There were days when the elections were managed by an individual who would have been seated in the AG's office. He was known as the supervisor of elections. So that individual is the one who managed elections across the country with the help of the then district commissioners, now they are county commissioners, and they're the ones who managed the elections. We have moved a long journey from those days of a one-party rule and that manner of managing elections to a point in time where we have an independent commission. Now, the reason I pointed out that then, I made a remark that even as we fault our commissions and our independent institutions, let us remember the journey we have traveled, and instead of focusing on the weaknesses, focus on how to improve on what we have built over the years. So IEBC has traveled its journey. It has had its ups and downs. They have done us proud through the last year. But are there weaknesses? Are there areas of improvement? Obviously there will be. But then what we should be looking at is how do we, looking back from where we come from, moving forward, how do we strengthen our institutions instead of undermining the institutions? So with that, may I take the opportunity to applaud IEBC, applaud the chair, and wish you a happy transition, not retirement, a happy transition to wherever you will move on to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gershom Otachi, Chairperson, National Lands Commission, and is also the Chairperson of the Chairpersons Forum of the Constitutional Commissions and Independent Offices, CCIOs. Thank you for your collaboration with the Commission and the support, especially around the Chairman of IEBC, during the general elections. Now we invite the TSC choir for a short performance. Let's give them a hand of applause, please. Thank you.
Teacher Service Commission Choir brings you one song titled Katiba Yetu ni Nguzo Yetu. Iwapo tutazingatia maadili ambayo yako kwenye katiba yetu, bila shaka tutakuwa na uchaguzi wenye amani. Karibuni.
Tanzania,
Thank you very much. We'll agree with me, that was quite refreshing. Tukizingatia katiba yetu, tutaishi na amani, na kama wananchi wa Kenya tutasonga mbele. Thank you very much, TSC Choir. TSC stands for
in Tanzania. He grew up in Kenya. He died in Uganda and was buried in Rwanda. So I was trying to interpret what the song means to him. The chairman of IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, a man we greatly respect, and we will respect more after this election. The Justice Chief Guest, Honorable Justin Muturi, the Honorable Attorney General, and former Speaker of the National Assembly, IEBC Commissioners, the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Gathuri Murungi, Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Madam Judy Lamet, the Deputy IG, Reverend Father Joseph Mutie, Chair of Interreligious Council of Kenya, all distinguished guests that are here, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning and Happy New Year. First, a hearty congratulations to IEBC team as we launch the post-election evaluation report for the 2022 general election. It is indeed my pleasure to be at this occasion, and I take this opportunity to extend my most sincere gratitude to the Commission for allowing me to be part of this extremely important event. On 8 April 2022, the Council of Governors was invited and attended the launch of key governance instruments, namely training manual on election security handbook, and the security guide. At the launch, the Council stated, and I quote, "Elections are a fundamental process in any advanced democracy. As political leaders, we are alive to the fact that generations to come are dependent on our sobriety today. Therefore, we as a Council of County Governments and as agents of peace in our respective counties commit to fully support the IEBC and other agencies throughout this electioneering period. We will preach peace and practice peace as Kenya's interest supersedes our own interests. I can confirm that indeed we did our part." Ladies and gentlemen, Article 88(4)(h) of the Constitution mandates the Commission to conduct post-election evaluations. This is a key activity and often said to be the last in the electoral cycle, but one that informs the next cycle of elections. Post-election evaluation is not only an international best practice, but is also a constitutionally assigned mandate of the Commission. Post-election evaluation require candid and brutal examination and assessment of what worked, what failed, lessons learned, as well as making recommendations that will inform strategies to be employed in the next electoral cycle, in this case in 2027. The evaluation that has been concluded and which is to be launched today is expected to build on the 2017 evaluation. The report is therefore expected to outline the lessons learned, findings and recommendations, and how they inform the 2022 elections. Therefore, we want to launch this report it would be amiss of us not to reflect and take stock of what happened in the previous elections as well, but importantly on the just concluded elections. To the Commission, it is not always comfortable to subject yourself to scrutiny, but it is the only way that we can grow. Remaining transparent and accountable is key and indeed the hallmark of good governance and the foundation of the Constitution of Kenya. I therefore believe that this report addresses fundamental issues and makes recommendations in various areas that I will not go into details of. Having said that, since the advent multi-party elections in 1992, Kenya's elections and performance of IEBC has been assessed mostly against one parameter, the political acceptability of the presidential election. To the extent that the presidential election is highly contested, the elections are usually declared stolen and IEBC gets grossly maligned. Forgotten in this denigration of IEBC is the fact that IEBC undertakes 5 other elections which are largely accepted, including by the protagonists, as free, fair, and credible. In my view, these other elections are actually the true test of IEBC's capabilities, not the politically volatile presidential tallying process. The most objective assessment of the credibility of the elections can be judged by the number of elections that get nullified by the courts. This number has consistently gone down over the years. I believe this year's petitions will provide the least number of nullifications, speaking volumes about IEBC's professionalism. To IEBC, we say keep up the good work.
Always ignore us, politicians, and our political noise, and keep your eye on the ball. But even for the politically challenged presidential elections, the quality of elections has continued to improve, with IEBC learning from the mistakes of previous elections to increasingly provide, at least in law, if not politically, an increasingly credible election. Who can forget the innovative posting of all presidential elections in an open portal in 2022? That was indeed the game changer, an issue that was partly behind the nullification of the 2017 elections. This posting is what laid to rest any believable allegation of rigging, since the actual results were available for all of us to see. Unrecognized in these critiques of IEBC performance, which focuses on the National Election Tallying Center at Bomas, is the reality that final election results are declared in 46,232 polling stations. One could say we have 46,232 presidential elections, the declaration of which by dint of law is final and cannot be changed. The tally of results in Bomas is purely a mathematical process. The most important portion of the elections is in these polling stations. Here, largely young, patriotic Kenyans work for long hours on low wages, unappreciated and uncelebrated. These patriots deliver the election results that make Kenya's election the pinnacle of Africa's democratic experience. Lost in the noise at Bomas is the story of these patriots. Even when some pay the ultimate price for their integrity with their lives, as happened with the returning officer in Embakasi, their stories are quickly forgotten. To these patriots, some of who are in this room or represented by those in this room, who include returning officers, presiding officers, polling clerks, and their supporting staff, this country owes you a debt of gratitude. Only God can truly reward you. And so, with those few and many remarks, I would like to say to Mr. Chebukati You have done your part. You have made us proud. We wish you well in your transition. Please do call me for a game of golf. I will be available to chat. And to those who have been left behind with IEBC and all the partners who are supporting IEBC going forward, let us remember the people who actually do play a critical role to make this country the democracy that it is. And as we strive to do so, let us put a lot more effort to ensure that we are educating our masses towards the achievement of the 2/3 gender rule. Congratulations once again, and God bless you. Asante.
A better clap for Her Excellency Anne Waiguru. Thank you so much for those remarks. Allow me to welcome Mr. Kadhure Murungi, MGH, the Senator of Meru County and also Deputy Speaker of the Senate House. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. National Assembly and Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Justin Muturi, the Chair IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, Chair Council of Governors, Madam Her Excellency Waiguru, and protocol observed. Before I get into the speech of the Speaker of the Senate who I represent here, I want to recognize the presence of the Chair of the Senate of the Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Chair Wakili Sigei. Yes. And thank you IEBC, because I can see you know the ropes. If the chair who oversights you is here, it means the success relationship with the parliament. So thank you very much. And Chairman, whatever this IEBC will require from you for the next 5 years, because you are the one to give the money, please do so that they can consecutive. The first two as a member of National Assembly in the year 2013, 2017, where I worked under my senior speaker, Justin Muturi. And the third elections was in August this year, where I ran as the Senator for Meru. So I want to thank you because you have given me employment for now 15 years consecutively. So I want to get to the remarks of the Right Honorable Amason Kingi, Jaffa Kingi, who I represent in this function, by saying that since our nation and state came into being nearly 6 decades ago, we have exercised our sovereignty as a people through elections. The elections have been held periodically in line with the provisions of the Constitution and other applicable laws of our land. In Articles 1 to 4, the Constitution proclaims this sovereignty and declares that it can only be exercised in 2 ways: directly or through democratically elected representatives. Elections, therefore, occupy a critical space in our collective endeavor to govern ourselves. And given that elections have a direct influence on our very existence as a democratic nation, it follows logically that the very institution charged with delivering elections stands out as a key pillar of our nationhood. Ladies and gentlemen, Chapter 7 of the Constitution creates the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and answers 27 under this chapter delve into the electoral system and process. 88 to 90 outline the role of the IEBC in ensuring success of these two mechanisms. Looked at broadly, Chapter 7 of the Constitution, therefore, provides us with a roadmap on preparation for elections, conduct of the same, and handling of electoral disputes that may consequently ensue. Distinguished guests, on August 9, 2022, Kenyans in exercise of their constitutional and democratic rights voted for their leaders at all levels of representation as outlined in the Constitution. A lot of what has flown on the bridge, and as is expected in the aftermath of every general election in our democracy, our country has witnessed major changes. There has been a change of guard in the executive with a new president and commander-in-chief of the Kenyan Defense Forces coming into office. In our bicameral parliament, comprising the Senate to play in our country. The fact that the transition took place peacefully should be a cause for celebrations by Kenyans, as it signifies that our democracy has come of age. This is where actually we were given 10 out of 10, the Kenyans, by the European Commission. And since also I've told you IEBC has conducted elections successfully, I also want that I can give IEBC a 10 plus in the elections that were conducted. As we gather here today, 5 months down the line, we have every reason to commend IEBC for living up to its constitutional mandate and managing the elections to the satisfaction of a majority of Kenyans. We must, however, be alive to the fact that quite a number of elective positions across the country, we still have election petitions. Underway in the judiciary. It is our collective hope that these petitions will be concluded expeditiously, judiciously, and to the satisfaction of all the parties involved to enable us move forward together as one. With the reason we are assembled here today. Election is an integral component of an electoral cycle and a structured way to evaluate the exercise and propose recommendations. This is why the post-election evaluation is considered as the best global practice in election management. In the Kenyan context, the post-election evaluation enables all the stakeholders who hand in the conduct of the elections to carry out other evaluation of all aspects of the polls. Only this way are we able to determine whether the elections made the election prescribed by our Constitution and made the test of democracy. Today's unveiling of the post-election evaluation report is therefore a momentous occasion for all stakeholders and Kenyans at large to get a honest assessment of how the August 9, 2022 elections were undertaken. We expect the report to highlight the success stories that pertain to the elections and also expose any gaps and loopholes that could have been detected. The vital elections will be fine-tuned and addressed to ensure that identified shortfalls, whether structural and administrative, personnel-related, technical or technological, do not materialize and encumber other elections going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, in the 4th Senate, and by extension the entire 13th Parliament, our main interest in the post-election evaluation goes as far as any of the recommendations it generates, which require redress through necessary legislative action. If any gaps are noted, and it is determined they can be rectified through new laws or amendments. The legislature is on standby to kickstart the process of enacting the laws on which to anchor the required changes. And I can confirm, or you can attest to this, that the chair is here. I think he wants to pick these issues even between him bring the report to the Senate. I think he wants to submit them immediately to the Senate so that we can make amendments where necessary. Similarly, should it be deemed that lack of funds impacting negatively on execution of any aspect of directions, then it is the duty of Parliament, upon request, to approve increase of budgetary allocation to the IEBC for the necessary intervention. And I will mark this to the CEO, upon request. Parliament will not give you money until you request and you convince Parliament that you need more resources. So I think you have understood the one upon. It also goes without saying that as one of the Chapter 15 institutions, IEBC needs to be insulated against any interference or attempts of the same by any other organs of state or individuals. These commissions and independent offices must be protected at all costs as they are pillars of democracy and democratic governance in our country. They are vested with the authority to protect our sovereignty as a people, secure observance by all state organs and democratic values and principles, and promote constitutionalism. As the legislature, we will remain all kind to detect any such attempts and nip them in the bud. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say that as Parliament, we are directly impacted by elections, being the destination for leaders elected as senators, members of Parliament, MCAs, women representatives, and all of us. Politicians, depending on their ambition, somehow always have an eye on the next election, either as potential candidates or stakeholders with vested political interests. This makes the recommendations contained in the post-election evaluation report of great interest to us. We join all the other stakeholders and Kenyans at large in looking forward to the implementation of post-election evaluation recommendations for better management of future elections in our country. And also to give another commitment, this week, the Chair, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee has finalized the IEBC Amendments Bill. And on Thursday this week, we have been recalled from our recess or our holiday to come back so that we can prosecute that bill on Thursday, the 19th of this week. This bill will give the process on how the new commissioners will be recruited. So mnaona sisi tuko kazi hata wakati wa likizo. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for the service that you render to this country. I want you to hear this, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you from the Senate for the work that you have rendered to this country for the years that you have served at the IEBC. And that is also, I really want to congratulate you for the award that you have been given by the Head of State after recognizing your handwork, elder of the Golden Heart, NGH. From the NGH, now it is your effort to go to the CGH. The President cannot give you that easily. So wherever you go, because I know yourself and your other commissioners, the two commissioners, not that the two commissioners who have worked successfully with you, I know you translate to better offices, and may God bless you in whatever else you will be doing for this good republic. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Nikimaliza niseme hongera sana kwa kwaya zote mbili, ile kwaya ya Mbomas na kwaya pia ya TSC. Mmefanya kazi nzuri, na make an amendment kwa sheria zetu za communications so that before news tunaimbia wimbo. Those patriotic songs, I remember the era ya Nyayo. We need to get those patriotic songs back to our system. Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A better hand of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kadhure Murungi, MGH, Deputy Speaker of the Senate House. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Mr. Wafula Chebukati. You are all aware that the launch of this post-election evaluation report for the 9th August 2022 marks the end of the tenure of Mr. Wafula Chebukati as the chairman of IEBC. Let us be upstanding to welcome him to give his last remarks to the final stakeholders forum as the chairman of IEBC. Let's clap for him.
Yeah, please be seated. Our chief guest, the Honorable Attorney General, Sir Justin Muturi, Their Excellency, Madam Waiguru, Chairperson, Council of Governors, Anthony Ngororano, UNDP Resident Representative, the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Mr. Kadhure Murungi. We have a long list of everybody in this room that needs recognition, but I want to ride on the protocol established by our CEO, Mr. Marijan. I know we have representatives from the three arms of government, from Parliament, Executive, Judiciary, the county government assemblies, representatives of constitutional commissions led by Gershom Motaichi, and my colleagues are here, fellow chairs, development partners, members of the diplomatic corps, civil society, all the participants in the election process are here. I can see all of you, the religious leaders and staff of IEBC, and of course the choir. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for honoring our invitation to come to this function. Indeed, you are all important actors in this process. And I know from the list of speakers, which is 22, I know the list could have been longer because you are all players in the electoral process. And this is a very, very important function. Before I make my remarks, it has been said that tomorrow is my last working day. This may not be my last function. I'm sure there's another function tomorrow somewhere. But let me invite or ask the two commissioners to come forward, Professor Gulia and Commissioner Molo. Please come forward. We started the journey together on 18th of January 2017, and we are finishing together tomorrow. I just want them to say hello and bye, hi and bye. Before I read my speech, thank you. Professor.
Thank you, Chair. This being the last day, I think I will say a little more than hi. I wish to thank God for the 6 years at IEBC. I wish to also thank the people of Kenya for the opportunity to serve them. It's been 6 years full of trials and tribulations. You all remember the irreducible minimums, of which among the staff, I was number one in the list of the people to go. I recall having been deserted midway on my way to Dubai to oversee the printing of the repeat election, presidential election ballot papers. My colleague deserted me midway somewhere. You also recall the clean slate slogan in the BBI, clean slate meaning clearing the entire IEBC commission. Of course, it didn't come to pass. You recall the Bomas drama, and I wish to thank the Bomas choir. Even when objects were flying left, right, center, some of those objects actually injured us physically. The choir kept on singing. I wish to thank them for that. After the Bomas announcement of the results, I recall going into Siberia in my own country together with Commissioner Molu and CEO Marjan. We went into hiding. We had to put off our phones, leave them in Bomas, send away our security, and we rode in Anoa to a unknown location. Our only contact to Kenya and the world was the television, just to check whether you were killing each other or you were celebrating. And after 3 days of hiding, we realized Kenyans had moved on. And we said we can no longer hide. So those are all the trials, just part of them. We even had personal tragedies. Some of us had miserable times inflicted on ourselves, our families, our children. But we surmounted all those trials and tribulations through courage, dedication, and devotion to God. We upheld our oath of office and the rule of law at all times. As I leave office, I am satisfied that I did my best for my country and my people. I leave IEBC stronger and better than I found it. And as I leave, I have no apologies to make to anybody. I simply did my work in accordance with my oath of office that I took in January of 2017. And inevitably, we have to be replaced. And my word of advice to those who will be bearing the responsibility of replacing us with other Kenyans is that the IEBC office as chair or commissioners is not for the faint-hearted. Please choose commissioners wisely. Asanteni sana.
All protocols observed. Good afternoon. I want to associate myself with the comments made by my colleague, Professor Gulie. I also thank God that we have made it to the end of our 6-year journey, where for the entire period, removal from office has always been hanging on our head. But with the grace of God, we have made it to this moment, and we are thankful that even despite all the pressure, we all remain healthy. None of us here have ever been admitted to hospital even for a day. That is grace of God. During our tenure, I think our challenges have been mentioned by my colleague. I don't have to repeat it. I was also number 2 in the irreducible minimum, but they have only managed to reduce the number of the commissioners, but we remain. But I want to say the journey of IEBC as institution must continue. Despite who comes and leaves, the commission must remain and must continue, because minus IEBC, Kenya cannot stand. During this period, I think our achievements have been even listed by our stakeholders who have spoken, and I'm sure Chair will speak more to it. We appreciate stakeholders, especially the donors, the diplomatic community, and Parliament for support. Although occasionally when you go to Parliament you feel harassed, but we take it in good faith and moved on. We ask for support to the Commission even as we leave. Bwana AG, during your tenure as Speaker, you supported the Commission, even as your current office is even more critical to the Commission. Please support it. You are more like line minister for the IEBC, another constitutional commission. Always listen to the Commission and moderate, especially when it comes to legal reforms. Because as the Speaker, Deputy Speaker said, politicians are always carried by their interest. It is important there must be another office that moderate what Commission proposes. Parliament, as you vet commissioners, please ensure the Commission is not populated by political stooges. This is a national commission. It is not a place for political rewards. Please take political reward elsewhere, not to the Commission, because a weak IEBC is unstable, will result into instability in the country. Our democratic space will shrink. It is likely it can collapse the country one day. It is very easy to collapse this country if IEBC plays partisan politics. And Parliament as an oversight body, you have a main responsibility to ensure that do not happen. I think I just want to end it there, and I just thank people of Kenya for giving us privilege to serve you. We have served you to the best of our ability. As we move out, we hope the successor commission will carry forward from where we have left. Thank you very much and goodbye.
You may sit. Thank you, commissioners. I think you have heard from the horse's mouth. They say we are the last three, the final three. They say three musketeers. And so they went in Siberia, but they are not telling me where I was. Of course, I was in my house, taking my cups of tea and waiting if anybody is coming on the door. Of course, nobody came. Let me go through my speech. I'm pleased to welcome you to the launch of the post-election evaluation report for the 9th of August 2022 general election. This launch is not only the last event of our election calendar, but also marks my last duty to this country in a forum such as this one. The conduct of our post-election evaluation exercise by the Commission is in line with Article 884B of the Constitution, and we as a Commission are expected to facilitate evaluation of elections which happened on the 9th of August. It is also an integral part of the post-election phase of the electoral cycle, and based in the national practice that affords an election management body an opportunity to reflect on lessons learned and make recommendations for implementation in subsequent election. I've had the unprecedented opportunity to preside over the two general elections and fresh presidential election during my 6-year tenure at the helm of the IEBC. As I look forward to my exit from office tomorrow, I will share my reflections of that journey as chairman of the commission. I was appointed in office on the 18th of January 2017, and we took the oath of office on 20th of the same month. In the oath of office, I swear to obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution and all the laws of the Republic, that I would faithfully and fully, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge the trust and perform the functions and exercise of powers devolving upon me by virtue of the appointment without fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, or prejudice. And the last sentence, I ask God to help me remain true to this oath. I joined the commission that had been appointed along with me, with the other commissioners who were 7, to oversee the conduct of the 2017 general election that was less than 7 months away. We had very limited time to understand the infrastructure of the election and architecture of the commission. Additionally, the processes had already been concluded by the previous commission, and there was no time to make any major reviews or adjustments. We conducted the 2017 general election that was nullified, and we held a fresh presidential election as ordered by the Supreme Court on the 23rd of October 2017. And the results of that fresh presidential election were upheld by the Supreme Court in a subsequent petition that was filed. As it will be recalled, one commissioner resigned before the fresh presidential election, and 3 others followed shortly after. And those were very difficult moments as we were just left, the 3 of us. But we had taken an oath of office, and we could not falter on that oath. We had a duty to this country to start preparing for the 2022 general election. And second, we had a responsibility to ensure the preservation of the commission, its long-tested experience in election management that had created a large body of technical competence and practical knowledge that drives its preparation and conduct of elections. So drawing from the Supreme Court decision, drawing from our experiences in the general election and the fresh presidential election of 2017, we set on the journey to prepare and make sure that the 2022 election is successful. We prepared a strategic plan 2020 to